Hey guys, in this clip that I'm about to show you, you'll hear what my voice sounded like before and after 4 sessions of voice therapy. Here it is.
Because it's just bothered me so much.
Did you get teased at school?
No, but I mean there was odd like comment and stuff. And it's just, yeah, it's been pretty tough because you have like speaking tests in high school and it's just made me really anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about your dad now?
Yeah. That was more when I had to think about it more.
Yes.
But I think gradually it just,
It's just happening.
yeah.
Have you been out anywhere noisy, social noisy environments? What about
Sort of, yeah.
how's your voice cope in that?
Yeah, it's better. When I go and play like soccer, if it's like windy or whatever, it's much easier to like shout to people and stuff.
You just
Yeah.
your voice doesn't get tired or sore in any way?
No. Yeah.
In today's video, I'm going to cover puberphonia, my journey through speech therapy, and how I got my voice to sound deeper and smoother. Welcome back to the second part of my high-pitched voice videos. If you haven't seen the first part, I recommend checking that one out. Last time I spoke with you guys, the ear, nose and throat specialist had just informed me that I had a voice disorder called puberphonia. So you might be thinking, what is puberphonia? Puberphonia is the persistence of a high-pitched voice after puberty in the presence of a structurally normal larynx. The voice of a puberphonic is high-pitched, breathy, hoarse, and there may also be lots of pitch breaks which occur. Puberphonia is a disorder that's not likely to go away on its own, and without treatment from a voice specialist, these changes in voice are likely to be permanent. The incidence of puberphonia in the general population is 1 in 900,000. So I was quite unlucky to get puberphonia. What are the causes of puberphonia? Anatomically, puberphonia doesn't involve any structural abnormalities in the vocal folds or larynx. The condition is primarily functional in nature. This means that puberphonia is often caused by improper use or incoordination of the vocal mechanisms used in the creation of our voice, rather than a physical defect. During puberty, hormonal changes lead to the growth of the larynx or the voice box in male. This results in the lengthening and thickening of the vocal cord. This process generally causes the pitch of the voice to become lower, which causes the voice to deepen and sound more mature in nature. In individuals with puberphonia, however, this voice change does not occur as expected, and they continue to speak with a high-pitched or falsetto voice characterized by prepubescent boys. To summarize this, anatomically the vocal cords are normal in structure, but the muscles and the coordination involved in producing speech may not be correct. There are quite a few different causes of puberphonia, so before I get back to my story and how I got my voice to sound a bit deeper, I'm going to go through each cause quickly. The first cause is a functional misuse of the voice. Puberphonia can sometimes occur due to improper use of the vocal mechanism. This may involve speaking in a higher pitched registry than necessary, tension in the throat or vocal cords, and incorrect breathing patterns during speaking. Just to touch on this one quickly, I've heard a few stories about boys who were in the choir and were consistently using a higher pitch when singing, who have gone on to have puberphonia. This is interesting because it kind of leads to that cause of using a higher pitch. You're training your brain to use a higher pitch rather than a lower pitch. And it's interesting to see that quite a few sufferers of puberphonia have come from a background of singing in a choir and using a higher pitched voice. The second cause of puberphonia is psychological factors. This includes anxiety and stress and other psychological factors that may impact the way an individual uses their voice. Environmental and social factors. Cultural and social influences may also play a role in the persistence of puberphonia. For example, societal expectations or peer influences could cause an individual to have a high-pitched voice even after puberty. I've even seen a few theories that say if a child has a bad relationship with their father and a better relationship with their mother, they're more likely to develop puberphonia based on the fact that they're rejecting that masculinity and kind of conforming to that femininity and trying to almost create a kind of voice that's like their mother. There's not a whole lot of research on this side of the psychological side of puberphonia, so I would love more research to come out, but there's a few really interesting psychological theories on puberphonia, that being one of them. Potential cause number 4, neurological factors. While significantly less common, there may be neurological factors or disorders that cause the coordination of the muscles required in voice production to be affected. and this could potentially cause puberphonia as well. Cause number 5, habitual factors. In some cases, puberphonia may develop due to the habitual misuse of the voice or speech patterns even after puberty. This can include learned behaviors or vocal patterns that are very difficult to change without intervention. So for example, if you keep using a higher pitch, your brain gets used to speaking with a higher pitch, even if your voice has broken. So you need therapy to kind of relearn how to produce a deeper voice, because neurologically your brain has been trained on how to tell those muscles how to work. Okay, now back to my story with puberphonia and how I got my voice to sound much deeper and smoother than before. So before I left the ear, nose and throat specialist, he informed me that he was sending me to a speech pathologist that specialized in voice. So not all speech pathologists are voice specialists, only a certain few of them are. So he wrote me a referral to a speech pathologist who specialized in voice. Honestly, I left that ENT appointment in tears. I was so happy that finally I was going to get some treatment for my voice. And finally there were some answers. It was honestly such an amazing moment for me leaving. And my mum was with me as well, and I remember it so fondly. I just thought, God, like I can get my voice sounding like I want it to finally. So I was very happy at this point in time. In general, speech therapy is the primary form of treatment for puberphonia, and the focus is getting that voice to sound deeper, smoother, and more resonant. The first thing I did when I was at the speech pathologist is did a questionnaire about how my voice affected my life. And then this first session was mainly a lot of assessment, and this is what she wrote up after I saw her for the first time. So she said this. This is an email she had sent back to the ENT. So she said, "Many thanks for referring this 18-year-old student with puberphonia and associated supraglottic muscle constriction for voice therapy." So those were my constricted muscles that were making my voice distorted. He attended for assessment with his mother today. Justin has been aware that his voice has been abnormal for 4 years and has been waiting for it to break naturally. He reported that he thinks about his voice every day and sees it as being like a disease that is eating him up and is preventing him from getting on with his life. That was me being very dramatic when I said my voice was eating me up. He has a history of social anxiety, particularly associated with change, and I note that you have commenced him on Lexapro. So yes, the ENT also recommended that I take antidepressants for my anxiety. And this also, I'll talk more about this later, but that also really helped my voice, just getting my anxiety under control. And I believe it also helped relax those muscles and made me calm down a bit, which I really do think helped my voice disorder, but I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. There is no family history of this type of voice. His VHI score, 92, severe level of perceived handicap, and he describes his throat as being tight, dry, irritated, constricted, effortful, and he often has the sensation of a lump in his throat. His symptoms include vocal fatigue, downward pitch breaks on laughing, difficulty with projection, especially over noise. So that VHI was the questionnaire I did on how much it affects my my mental health. So I got 92, which was severe. She then goes on to say, Justin's speaking voice was extremely high in pitch, 220 hertz. And to give you an idea, the normal hertz, normal pitch for a man is between 100 and 120 hertz. And mine was 220. And the normal pitch for a female is between 200 and 220. So I was on the high side of a female voice, which is crazy to think. His voice is consistently breathy and strained. He had significant muscle tension in his jaw, base of tongue, strap muscles, and his larynx was elevated and immobile. Interestingly, Justin has the ability to put on voices, including a voice that was pitch appropriate. Normal pitch and quality of voice facilitated this through low, playful voice. So I've always been able to put on a really deep voice. So when I did this to my voice therapist, she recorded it and it came out being on on par for what a male voice should sound at 120 hertz. He was concerned that the low, clear voice was fake, as it sounded so different. We did a lot of work contrasting his different voices and related it to reduced vocal effort whilst recording and playing back his voice. He needs to be able to accept the lower voice is his real voice rather than a fake put-on voice. At the end of the initial session, Justin was more positive regarding his potential to achieve a normal voice. Hopefully this will occur quite quickly and that he will be able to get him to accept the lower resonant voice in his natural voice. He actually has an excellent voice when produced with the right balance of breath support and reduced effort. So this was really interesting because I actually only spent 4 sessions with my speech pathologist, and after that my voice was low and smooth, a lot smoother than what it was before. The reason I read you that little note my speech pathologist did to my ENT was because there are a few interesting little things in there. The first was, when I first came to her, I explained the impact of my voice on my mental health and my social life. And I don't know what came up, but I said to her, it's quite weird because I can put on really deep voices. So even when I had a really high-pitched voice, I could put on deep voices. So I'd be like, with my friends, joking around, and I would put on really deep male voice. So I'd be like, yeah, good on you, mate. I'll have 6 beers, please. Yeah, no, some smokes as well. Yeah, that guy, so that's my Aussie voice. So I would like freak people out all the time because it was the best prank to play on people, like being able to experiment with my voice like that. Anyway, I brought this up to my speech pathologist and she seemed to really respond well to it. And she said that me being able to put on a deeper voice was my actual voice and that I just trained myself to use this high-pitched voice. So in terms of my speech pathology treatment, a lot of the sessions, all of the sessions actually involved me putting on a deeper voice, which is crazy because I was actually using my real voice. So all of the sessions were just me trying to make it sound more natural. And the funny thing is about this as well, when I first started putting on my deeper voice, that wasn't like, I wasn't trying to do like an accent or anything. I was just doing like a normal deeper voice. It came out very South African and almost unnatural. So a lot of the time I was just practicing putting on a deeper voice. In my head I was thinking, I'm just putting on this voice, but it was me actually doing my proper voice. My brain was finally training itself to use the voice that had always broken, had always been there, but I was just used to doing this high-pitched voice. And this is very psychological because in my head I'm thinking, Justin, this isn't your voice that you're putting on. This is a voice that you're putting on. It's not your real voice. So what our sessions would look like, I would read passages in my deeper voice. So I'd go from like, yeah, many thanks for referring this night. Many thanks for referring this, and being able to like put on this deeper voice. And it was just training my brain to get used to this deeper voice. So I guess treatment for other people might look a little differently if you don't have the ability to put on a deeper voice on your own. You might have to practice that. I know some different techniques involve coughing or yawning, because people, when they cough or you naturally can train out a bit of a deeper voice like that. There's lots of different strategies to develop your real deeper voice. But for me, it was being able to put on a deeper voice by myself and just training that up. What happened was though, after seeing my speech pathologist a few times, she finally said, Justin, look, like we can do all the training we want in session, but eventually you're gonna have to leave therapy and just talk in your deeper voice normally, like to your family, to your friends. I just started university at the time, so I'd made new friends with my high-pitched voice, and she said at this point we had kind of practiced my deeper voice to the point where it wasn't sounding so dramatic and put on like I thought in the beginning, and it was sounding quite natural and normal. But after the sessions, I would go home and it would be straight back to like, hi mum, yeah, speech pathology went pretty well. And then in the session, I'll be like, hi, my speech pathologist, how are you? and then leave and straight away back to the high-pitched voice. So finally she said, Justin, I want you to leave this office and just put on the voice permanently now. And this was the hardest thing to do because psychologically it was draining because you're training your brain to use this deeper voice. So, and in the beginning it did seem like you're acting, but after a while you get used to it and you do it without even thinking. So the biggest thing was I actually had a speech or something happened at university where we had to do public speaking, and it was like one of the days after seeing my speech pathologist, and I thought I'm gonna rock up at uni and just use my deeper voice. And because people didn't know me as well as my friends outside of uni, they kind of accepted my deeper voice. Maybe they felt awkward to say like, well, are you putting on a voice or something? But from then on, I just used my deeper voice at uni, which was a start. And then even at the end of the day, I'd come home back to the high-pitched voice. And then eventually I did it to my parents, which was very, very daunting as well because they've known me one way for so long. And now I'm putting on this deeper voice. I had a few comments from really close friends saying like, what are you doing? Like, are you putting on a voice? Like, what's going on, Justin? And then I eventually had to explain to them the whole thing, and it was very tough emotionally. But and when I would put on the deeper voice in the beginning, there would be moments where I would falter and the high-pitched voice would come out. So I'd be like talking now, and then it would suddenly be like, what are you doing this weekend? What are you doing this weekend? Like it would sometimes just break down and I would go back to the high-pitched voice. But yeah, after a while, you don't even think about it, and my real broken voice came out permanently. And basically here we are today. I never go back to using my high-pitched voice. It's been 10 years now. I never think about it. I never have to put it on. So after my 4th speech pathology session, I was finally discharged with my voice sounding a lot deeper and a lot smoother than before. I had successfully changed the pitch of my voice. Well, not changed, but I produced my natural, deep sounding voice. And this is what my speech pathologist wrote back to my ENT. So she says, Justin has attended 4 therapy sessions over the past 5 weeks. I am pleased to report that he is now using his mature male voice all the time and is much more confident and less anxious. The pitch of his voice dropped from 220 hertz, so that was on the high end of a female voice, to 120 hertz, and the quality is stable and clear. So, to conclude, it was perfect. Speech therapy had worked excellently for me, and my voice was sounding exactly how I wanted it to sound. And I just wanted to make this video to kind of spread awareness for puberphonia and tell you that if you do have a high-pitched voice and a voice that you want to change, it is completely possible. And I highly recommend you going to an ENT, getting an assessment, and then finding a good speech pathologist that specializes in voice. Because like I said earlier, not all speech pathologists specialize in voice. I'm a speech pathologist now, and I don't specialize in voice. I want to one day, but obviously there's more training that goes with that. But yeah, find yourself a speech pathologist who specializes in voice. If you have any more questions, please put them in the comments below, and perhaps I'll make another video just answering some of those questions or going into some of the different treatment options. I know there's also options for surgery if it does get to the stage where speech pathology doesn't help. There are certain surgeries that can be done to the vocal cords to get them sounding like your real voice, and because sometimes if there has been enough strain and kind of changes to the vocal cords based on your habits of using your voice, the vocal cords can bow and change the way you sound permanently. So there are surgeries to kind of remove that bowing and return them to their natural form. But that is what helped in my treatment, using my deeper voice to my advantage. And like I said, there's lots of different strategies and things like exercises like doing a cough and just kind of making yourself being able to produce some kind of deeper pitch on some level and then working from there. So yeah, thank you for following along with my story, and if there's enough questions, if there's enough demand for another video, I will make another video. But thanks everyone for watching, and I really appreciate it. And good luck with you if you are in the process of kind of figuring out your voice disorder and improving your voice. Keep in touch, and I'd love to hear about everyone's journey going forward. Yeah, thanks guys. Bye.